Just it was like just a rush. Like I didn't know like at all what to think or do.
Witnesses sharing their shock after two drivers found themselves swallowed by a sinkhole at 67th and Pacific. New video this morning shows crews working to remove concrete out of that sinkhole. Authorities have closed Pacific in both directions between 66th and 69th. They've warned drivers to avoid this area. Omaha Police Lieutenant Dan Martin tells us the affected intersection would be closed for some time. He warned it is possible the sinkhole could still expand. The good news is both those drivers swallowed are going to be okay. Their vehicles were towed out of the sinkhole at around 6 o'clock last night.